What if the very essence of your identity, the core of what makes you you, was never really yours to begin with? What if it was handed to you, piece by piece, without you ever realizing it was happening? Today we're going to dive deep into the mind of a woman who dared to ask these questions. Her name was Simone de Beauvoir. You've probably heard her most famous line, "One is not born, but rather becomes a woman." But that quote isn't just about women. It's about all of us. Every single one of us. Beauvoir was a philosopher, a writer, a revolutionary thinker. She walked alongside Jean-Paul Sartre in the existentialist movement, but she carved her own path through the wilderness of human consciousness. She looked at society and said, "Wait a minute, something's not right here." And what she discovered will shake you to your core. So buckle up. We're about to explore 5 lessons from Simone de Beauvoir that everyone, and I mean everyone, needs to know. These aren't just philosophical ideas gathering dust on academic shelves. These are living, breathing truths that will make you question everything. Your relationships, your career, your very sense of self. Are you ready? Let's begin. One is not born, but rather becomes a woman. Stop. Read that again. Let it sink in. Beauvoir wasn't just talking about biology. She was talking about something far more profound. Something that reaches into the very heart of human existence. Think about it. From the moment you take your first breath, the world starts telling you who you are. If you're born female, they wrap you in pink. They give you dolls. They tell you to be quiet, to be sweet, to be nice. They say, good girls don't raise their voices. They say, pretty is the most important thing you can be. If you're born male, it's trucks and tools. Boys don't cry. Be strong. Don't show weakness. Provide, protect, dominate. Day after day, year after year, these messages pile up like snow. And before you know it, you can't see the ground anymore. You can't see who you really are underneath all that accumulated expectation. But here's the thing Beauvoir understood that most people miss. None of this is natural. None of this is destiny. A little girl isn't born loving pink. She learns to love pink because everyone around her tells her she should. A little boy isn't born afraid of showing emotion. He learns to fear it because the world punishes him when he does. Gender roles aren't written in our DNA. They're written by society. And society? Well, society can be rewritten. Think about your own life for a moment. What aspects of your personality do you consider just who you are? Your shyness, your aggression, your need to please others, your fear of speaking up. Are these really you? Or are they the result of years of conditioning? Beauvoir would say they're conditioning. And that means you can uncondition yourself. The woman who believes she's naturally nurturing might discover she's actually a brilliant strategist. The man who thinks he's naturally aggressive might find he's incredibly empathetic. The person who believes they're meant to follow might realize they're born to lead. But here's the catch, and this is where it gets really interesting. Recognizing that you've been conditioned doesn't automatically free you. Because once you see the cage, you still have to choose to walk out of it. And that brings us to Lesson 2. Lesson 2. Freedom is an act of rebellion you choose every day. Most people think freedom is about getting what you want. They think it's about having no restrictions, no rules, no obligations. Beauvoir knew better. Freedom, she said, isn't something you have. It's something you do every single day, with every single choice. You don't wake up free. You wake up with the opportunity to become free. And that opportunity exists whether you're in a mansion or a prison cell, whether you're rich or poor, whether you're surrounded by support or standing completely alone. Because freedom isn't about your circumstances. It's about how you respond to them. Let me tell you a story that illustrates this perfectly. During World War II, while Paris was occupied by the Nazis, Beauvoir continued to write. She continued to think. She continued to choose who she wanted to be, even when the world around her had gone insane. She didn't wait for the war to end to start living. She didn't put her life on hold until conditions got better. She looked at her restricted circumstances and said, "What can I choose within these constraints?" That's existential freedom. That's the kind of freedom Beauvoir was talking about. You might be thinking, but I'm trapped. I have bills to pay. I have people depending on me. I can't just do whatever I want. And you're right. None of us can just do whatever we want. But that's not what freedom means. Freedom means owning your choices, even the hard ones, even the ones that feel like no choice at all. When you choose to pay your bills, you're not trapped. You're exercising your freedom to honor your commitments. When you choose to care for someone who depends on you, you're not sacrificed. You're exercising your freedom to love. The key word here is choose. Because even when life forces you into a corner, you still get to choose how you respond. You get to choose what meaning you make of it. You get to choose who you become because of it. Beauvoir believed that we are nothing but the sum of our choices, not our thoughts, not our feelings, not our circumstances, our choices. So if you want to be free, stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting for someone else to hand you your freedom on a silver platter. Start choosing. Start acting. Start becoming. Because here's what Beauvoir knew that most people don't. The moment you start taking responsibility for your choices, all of them, even the ones you don't like, that's the moment you become truly free. But there's another trap waiting for you, and it's more subtle than the first two. Lesson 3. Become the author of your own story. Picture this. You're watching a movie. The camera follows a beautiful woman as she walks down the street. Men turn to look at her. The audience sees her through their eyes. We learn about her through their reactions. We understand her value through their desire. She's gorgeous. She's mysterious. She's perfect. But do we know what she's thinking? Do we know what she wants? Do we know who she is when no one's looking? No, because she's not the main character. She's a prop in someone else's story. Beauvoir saw that this is how women have been treated throughout history, not as the protagonists of their own lives, but as supporting characters in men's stories. The wife, the mother, the object of desire, always defined in relationship to someone else, never allowed to simply be. But here's what she understood. That was truly revolutionary. This isn't just a women's problem. This is a human problem. How many of us are living as supporting characters in our own lives? The employee who defines themselves entirely through their boss's approval. The child who's still trying to make their parents proud at age 40. The partner who's lost themselves so completely in their relationship that they can't remember who they were before. We become so focused on how others see us that we forget to see ourselves. We become so concerned with playing our role that we forget we're allowed to write our own script. Beauvoir said, "Enough. You are not an object to be looked at. You are a subject, a thinker, a creator, a full human being with your own desires, your own dreams, your own right to exist exactly as you are." But becoming the protagonist of your own life isn't easy, because the world is comfortable with you as a supporting character. Supporting characters don't make waves. They don't challenge the status quo. They don't demand equal screen time. Protagonists do. So what does it look like to step into your own starring role? It means defining yourself instead of letting others define you. It means pursuing your own goals instead of just supporting everyone else's. It means having your own opinions instead of just agreeing with whoever's in the room. It means saying, I matter. My thoughts matter. Thoughts. My dreams matter. My voice matters. And yes, some people won't like it. Some people will call you selfish. Some people will try to put you back in the supporting role where you're supposed to be. Let them. Because here's what Beauvoir knew. The people who truly love you won't want you to diminish yourself. They'll want you to shine. They'll want you to be the full, complete, magnificent person you were meant to be. And the people who don't want that? Well, those aren't your people anyway. But there's one area where this lesson becomes especially crucial. One area where so many people lose themselves completely. Lesson 4. True love multiplies you, never divides you. Ah, love. The great excuse for giving up everything. How many stories have you heard that go like this? I was going to be a doctor, but then I met him and decided to support his career instead. Or, I used to paint, but after we got married, there just wasn't time anymore. Or, I had all these dreams, but love is more important, right? Beauvoir heard these stories too, and they broke her heart. Not because she was against love. She wasn't. She experienced deep, passionate love herself, but because she saw how society had twisted love into something that required self-sacrifice, especially for women. She saw how the culture told women that their highest purpose, their greatest achievement, was to find a man and make him happy. To be everything to someone else, even if it meant becoming nothing to themselves. And she said, this isn't love, this is self-erasure. Real love, Beauvoir argued, happens between two complete people. Two people who know who they are. Two people who have their own dreams, their own goals, their own sense of self. Real love doesn't ask you to disappear. It celebrates your presence. It encourages your growth. It makes space for your dreams. Think about it this way. If someone loves you, wouldn't they want you to be happy? Wouldn't they want you to fulfill your potential? Wouldn't they want you to become everything you're capable of becoming? And if they don't want those things, do they really love you? Or do they love the idea of having someone who exists only to serve their needs? Beauvoir experienced this firsthand. Her relationship with Jean-Paul Sartre was unconventional by any standard. They never married. They maintained separate apartments. They had other relationships. They supported each other's work, but they never demanded that one sacrifice for the other. Some people called it cold. Some people said it couldn't really be love. But their relationship lasted for over 50 years. And during that time, both of them created some of the most important philosophical and literary works of the 20th century. That's what love can look like when it doesn't require anyone to disappear. Now, I'm not saying everyone needs to structure their relationships like Beauvoir and Sartre did. What I'm saying is this: love should add to your life, not subtract from it. The right person will celebrate your ambitions. They'll encourage your dreams. They'll make space for your growth. They'll want you to be the fullest, most complete version of yourself. And you should want the same for them. Because here's what Beauvoir understood. When two complete people come together, they don't create half a relationship. They create something exponentially more powerful. They create a partnership that makes both people stronger, not weaker. But there's one more lesson we need to talk about. and it's the one that might surprise you the most. Lesson 5. Liberation is not a zero-sum game. Let me guess what you're thinking right now. Here comes the part where she tells me feminism is about hating men. Wrong. Or maybe you're thinking, here comes the part where she tells me feminism is only about women's issues. Wrong again. Beauvoir understood something that gets lost in most conversations about feminism. She understood that oppression doesn't just hurt the people being oppressed. It hurts everyone. Think about it. When society tells women they have to be quiet, submissive, and nurturing, what does it tell men? It tells them they have to be loud, dominant, and emotionally disconnected. When society tells women they can't be strong, what does it tell men? That they can't be vulnerable. When society tells women they can't be leaders, what does it tell men? That they can't be followers, even when following would be the smart choice. These rigid roles don't serve anyone. They trap everyone. Beauvoir saw that feminism wasn't about flipping the power structure. It wasn't about women becoming the oppressors and men becoming the oppressed. It was about dismantling the entire system that says some people are more valuable than others, based on characteristics they can't control. True feminism is about human liberation. All humans. Every single one. When women are free to be strong, men are free to be gentle. When women are free to lead, men are free to support. When women are free to be ambitious, men are free to be nurturing. When we stop putting people in boxes based on their gender, everyone gets to be a full human being. But here's where it gets really interesting. Beauvoir realized that this kind of liberation requires something most people aren't willing to give up. It requires giving up the illusion of superiority. If you're a man who's been told your whole life that you're naturally stronger, smarter, and more capable than women, equality can feel like a loss. If you've built your identity around being better than someone else, true equality is terrifying. If you're a woman who's been told your whole life that your value comes from being chosen by a man, independence can feel like a loss too. If you've built your identity around being needed, self-sufficiency is scary. But here's what Beauvoir knew. That illusion of superiority was never real anyway, and that dependence was never security. What's real is this. Every human being has the capacity for strength and gentleness. Every human being has the capacity for leadership and support. Every human being deserves the freedom to discover who they really are, underneath all the roles society has assigned them. That's what feminism is really about. Not women versus men. Not one group dominating another, but all of us, together, breaking free from the systems that limit our humanity. And when we do that, when we truly do that, we don't just create a better world for women, we create a better world for everyone. Your identity is not your destiny. Freedom is an act of rebellion you choose every day. Become the author of your own story. True love multiplies you, never divides you. Liberation is not a zero-sum game. These aren't just ideas. They're invitations. Beauvoir understood something beautiful. Change doesn't happen with grand gestures. It happens in the quiet moments. When you catch yourself apologizing for taking up space, and you stop. When someone tries to tell you who you should be, and you smile and say, "I'll decide that for myself." Real change happens when you're alone with your thoughts and realize you don't have to carry other people's definitions of you anymore. You can set them down. Right here. Right now. Every person who chooses authenticity over acceptance gives permission to someone else to do the same. This is how the world changes. Not through force, but through example. So here's my question. Who are you? when no one is watching. Who are you when you strip away all the roles, all the expectations? That person. That's who the world is waiting for. Tomorrow morning, you'll have a choice. You can put on the mask you've always worn, or you can take one small step toward who you really are. Beauvoir's gift to you is simple: the permission to be exactly who you are, not who you should be, not who others want you to be, but who you are. You don't have to become someone new. You just have to stop being someone you're not. The person you're meant to be has been waiting your whole life. It's time to let them out.